Well, with that, welcome back everybody to the Locked Off Logic podcast with Sam and Tyler for episode 2. You guys should be getting this around the start of the new year before we start talking about movies and story and TV shows. And I guess to start us off, Sam, as we're getting ready to the end of 2024, what is the best movie that you saw in 2024?
The best. I'm like paranoid. Everything's working. It's fine.
Everything's working.
It's everything's
all
going
good.
Out. Your question was best movie, best TV show?
Both.
Oh shit.
I was thinking about this the other day. I think mine, TV show, I'm torn because I think the best movie I saw is actually a Netflix movie. It was The Society of the Snow. Really good about the plane crash in the Andes and what those people did to survive. Really well done. But also, I was looking through the box office and the awards and all this different stuff, and Civil War came out this year too, which I really enjoyed. I know some people had like their things with it, but I really enjoyed.
It's phenomenal.
Yes, thank you.
Phenomenal.
Yes, I thought it was awesome.
There are moments, when people go, "What do you think about when you don't think about anything?" That's what you need to do with your life, right? Well, there are moments when I'm not thinking about anything that I find myself thinking about Civil War. Obviously, I can't do that with my life.
Yeah.
But, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, stop and come back and listen to this later. But there's the moment where Sammy is shot. And then they escape that whole big scene of the hole with all the bodies in the ground with Jesse Plemons. And he's like, "But what kind of American are you?"
Yep.
Holy shit, what a performance from Jesse Plemons. Like, damn.
Yep. He is so good at playing like a white supremacist.
Dude, it's unreal. And, maybe we do an episode on Civil War.
Yeah, okay, I'm down. Let's do it.
Absolutely. But anyway, Sammy gets shot. And they drive away, and then they're driving through the night, and it's the fire in the forest, and all the embers are just fluttering, and it's like slow motion, and it's this it's beautiful, but also just very haunting and harrowing. But it's so beautiful, and there's a moment when he's like looking through the window and his hands up, and it's like he's trying to reach out to like what feels like these little fireflies, But it's these embers that are slowly burning out, which is representative of him. He's an ember, a spark that's slowly gonna, burn out. Anyways, I think about that moment a lot, and sometimes when I'm not thinking about anything, I find myself sitting in the car with Sammy, just watching the fire embers just fluttering in the sky. Anyways. How did we get to that?
I asked you.
You said what your favorite movie was. Civil War. Man, favorite movie or TV show this year? I was just thinking about this the other day. I actually have seen, I watched a lot of television this year, more than I anticipated, I suppose. I just finished Squid Game 2. I'm caught up on the Silo season 2. I watched Shogun this year. I watched all of Game of Thrones, seasons 1 through 8. What else did I watch? There was a few more shows. Oh, The Bear.
Oh yes, I watched that show too.
I binged literally all 3 seasons in like a 24-hour period. Talk about feeling anxious.
Yeah.
But and movies? I mean,
you see a lot of movies. You see a lot of you see the ones that, for every one movie that I go to that we maybe go to together, you've seen at least 2 more. Maybe because you've seen. I remember you were telling me that you went and saw. Obviously we'll go to a movie together, like Civil War. We went and saw together. You went and saw the Wolfman, which is probably something that I would not watch because I'm not a big horror guy and. And I think I follow the reviews a little more than you do as just a movie consumer.
Yeah,
and
I don't look at reviews at all. And you obsess over
reviews. I look at them. If it's anywhere on Rotten Tomatoes, if it's anywhere above a 40, I'll probably watch it. But if the audience score is bad, I'd probably skip it. Although I'm not like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, for example. I think that movie is fine, and the audience hates that movie, but I think it's fine. So I don't follow it religiously, but I do check of like if you hey I'm going to Wolfman this afternoon. Oh, 25% Rotten Tomato on both sides. Or Joker, that's a good one too. Like I skipped Joker almost because
The
of
second one.
Yes, the first Joker, great. Second one, universally bombed, both audience and critics. For me, that's probably an indicator that the movie was no good. But why are they talking about the movies that you go to?
Yeah. So I think movie wise, the best movie I saw this year, two come to my mind like immediately, and I guess this is new releases, right, or theatrical releases. I think of Dune 2, Dune 2, Part 2.
Yeah.
And I saw that 3 times in the theater. And I was just mesmerized by it. Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director. And the way that he does storytelling is just on another level. Like, to me, there's like maybe 3 to 5 directors that I'm aware of that there's something different about them, and not this is a subjective and art thing, not that they're better than other people, but they are.
Yeah.
And I say that in jest, like there's just something special about them. So anyways, Dune 2, when I walked out of that, I remember thinking this had to have been what it felt like when Jurassic Park was at the theater for the first time, or Jaws. Like, to me, that felt like the equivalent of a blockbuster back in the day when blockbusters began. So Dune 2, and then the other one was actually probably a lesser known film that probably a lot of people haven't seen, which is Cabrini.
That's what I figured.
Cabrini, not a flawless story. There were some plot things. However, visually, it is one of the most stunning films I've ever seen in my entire life. The visual storytelling in Cabrini is just absolutely insane. The precise and detailed and specific and intentional. And I was fortunate to shoot kind of a behind the scenes interview, like with Alejandro. Now I'm forgetting his name.
The director?
The director. That guy, to me, is like on the same level as Denis Villeneuve in terms of the way he thinks and the way that he presents. It's not Alejandro Nerto. That's the Revenant. Why am I forgetting his name? Anyways, Alejandro, and then his cinematographer Gorka. Those two just are incredible visual storytellers.
Let's find his name.
Yeah, look that up while I'm telling the story.
Yeah, tell the story.
Yeah, I forgot we can do this.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Plus, this adds personality on this. We're going to keep this in. This is what real life looks like. You forget the name, you go on the Internet Movie Database and find out what the guy's name is.
yeah. So, anyways, Cabrini, man. I mean, I walked out of that film going, and I had just seen it after Dune 2, like twice, and I was like, I'm not necessarily convinced.
Alejandro Monteverde.
Yes.
Monteverde.
I'm not entirely convinced that this film would lose in a Best Oscar Cinematography nomination against Dune 2, which is saying a lot.
Yeesh.
And Greg Fraser, cinematographer for Dune 2, like the dude is on another level as well. And what I like about Greg, and Greg, if you're ever hearing this, keep doing what you're doing in taking the art forward. He's using a lot of cinematographers, and I'll just use this as an example. We'll take a paintbrush, right, and use the same paintbrush on the same canvas, and then they use light and movement to be the real factors in storytelling, which there's nothing wrong with, and they master it, right? Greg does that, but then he also does different paintbrushes. He uses different cameras. He uses different lenses. He's trying out all sorts of systems. So anyways, Greg is incredible, and the work he does is incredible. But watching Dune 2 and Cabrini next to each other, in visual storytelling. I'm just having a hard time deciding which one I would vote for if I had to vote for best cinematography. So, anyways, long-winded answer to that. I think those two would be movies, and then favorite TV series. Man, like that's.
It's got to be Shogun. You didn't stop talking about Shogun for at least a month.
So that's the thing is like I was like, yeah, Shogun, but at the same time I watched all of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And Game of Thrones, I was like, wow, how have I missed this? And then I watched all of House of Dragon as well. But maybe when we talk about Game of Thrones,
Because we will. Because I've never seen it.
there will be a little controversy with what I'm about to say. But most people were heavily let down at the end of the season, the last season. I'm not saying that I wasn't. It certainly isn't as strong. It felt very rushed. But having like binge watched them all at the same time, I didn't feel the same letdown I think that everybody else felt. So I think that I just enjoyed it much more, even the last season. Though we can talk about that later time. But I guess I'm going to say Shogun.
Okay.
I think I'm going to say Shogun.
Well, you had the actress as your background picture on your phone for a while. I don't know if you remember this, but I went to Civil War and you had the background, and I was like, who is that?
Anna Sawe.
Yeah, there you go. Very. We need to watch. I need to watch Shogun, and we need to talk about it because I've watched the first episode, and then something happened where something came out right during that same time, and that took my attention. Yeah. I need to restart it, get back in the story, and.
Oh, it's so good! It's so poetic,
and it's going to be a second season.
It is, which I'm conflicted about.
Okay.
But I just love that show so much, and like Anna, her performance and the way she carries herself and the character, like it's just this. To me, it felt like this perfect embodiment of this character, and I was just so moved. It was so poetic. It was so thoughtful. Where there was action and there was intense things, absolutely, but there was just a gentleness and a reverence about Shogun that I think stood out for me, where I think a lot of people that didn't necessarily like it as much, I think a bit of that could be the TikTok brain rot, like constant dopamine hit, like because Shogun was like a slower burn, but I think it was brilliant. So I guess I'm going to say Shogun and Dune 2.
All right.
Look, Cabrini's right there.
Man, this year was interesting for me. I watched a lot of TV, and then when I get anxiety, I tend to rewatch some of my favorite shows because you get the same kind of hit where you're like, oh, this is familiar. This is something I really like. But the anxiety is gone because you don't have to know like what's coming next. Like you already know what's happening. So like I watched this year, I rewatched SEAL Team, which was one of my favorite TV shows. Narcos on Netflix, which we're gonna have the guy that inspired Narcos on our show. Watched just a low, like those shows that are funny but they're very low stakes, like Parks and Rec. I love me some Parks and Rec where that just brings me down to like a very peaceful level. Where there's an episode dedicated on this lady trying to get the pool to stay open an extra hour. And it's what she spends her whole day doing, or at least the whole episode doing. I'm just like, what a beautiful, low stakes. Like, who gives a shit if they get the extra hour or not? But she's so, right. They do a whole episode about it. And for me, stuff like that kind of brings me a lot of peace when I have anxiety, compared to like when I delve into like Game of Thrones, which, for those of you listening, I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I know things. I think I was telling Sam this the other day. I know that a lot of modern day actors got their start on Game of Thrones. People like Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal, Jason Momoa, people like that were on Game of Thrones, I think, to start their career. I know the little kid, Joffrey, I think his name is one of the most hated villains in TV history. On like the top 10 list that I watched, I'm on the treadmill. He's always on the list of like the top 10 most hated villains in all of television. I know something about the Red Wedding. I don't know what that is, but I've heard about it. And then I know about the dragons and the guy made of ice. And that's about it. That's about all I know. Oh, and then and then there's a guy named Jon Snow, who might get a spinoff, might not, but I think he's a pretty popular character.
I doubt it.
You don't think he'll get the spinoff?
No. Nah.
But he's a good character. He's a good guy.
You'll see.
All right, but we'll talk about it.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
No idea what that means.
So anyway, so that's that was a great little rant introduction chat. Last episode that we did, it was kind of the conversation was pointed towards me, and today the conversation is going to be pointed towards Tyler, which I'm really looking forward to. And there's a lot of things that I've been thinking about, what I want to ask, where I want to take it, and I kind of actually don't know if I want to try and try and drive it somewhere. I want to maybe see where it goes. But I think to begin, like I met Tyler, which we talked about a little bit last time, but I met him when we were in our undergrad. He was in my apartment complex. He was the room right across the hall. And I was thinking about it this morning, and it was like we called them the Star Valley Boys, because it was just full of Star Valley boys. And there was like two separate apartments, I felt like, right next to us that had Star Valley boys. And then my apartment eventually had some Star Valley boys. So it was like this big Star Valley, Wyoming, like community of just young guns. And one thing that I admired about all of them was just like this confidence. There was just this confidence about all of them. And not like an arrogant or a cockiness, but there was just a self-assured of like, I know who I am, I know where I came from, and this is the life I live. And it was just fun to watch. And so Tyler was no different in that regard. Tyler was well liked, and I would say he was pretty popular in like the building and in like the congregation that we attended. And I mean, just throughout passing, when seeing him and things like that with other people on campus or whatever, there was always someone next to Tyler, and people were always having a good time. Smiles, laughter. There was like when Tyler wasn't present, there was almost always a conversation where Tyler got brought up. So, anyways, all good things. All good things. So, anyways, yeah, man. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about Star Valley, where you came from, and I know Wyoming's like a big part of your identity, and you're very proud to be from Wyoming, and I'm correct in Star Valley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, I'm not from Star Valley.
Actually, just kidding.
So yeah, anyway, so let's start there.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up people like me at school, because I used to have like questions about that. Where
Interesting.
Yeah, because like, well, just this one experience, but in the church that we attended, they gave me, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Mormon Church, they gave me a calling, which is basically like an assignment, and the assignment was
All voluntary.
All voluntary. Yeah, it wasn't paid, but that would have been nice.
That's another conversation.
That would have been nice to have a little paycheck in there in college, but it was fine. I was a teacher's assistant, but. The part of my assignment was giving out other assignments to different people. And, there are no small assignments, but there are some small assignments, right? And so one of the assignments was the person that collected the books at the end of church, the hymn books to put away, which is fine. It's a great assignment. But if I have been given that assignment, I would have preferred that they text me. And I could have said, yes, sounds good. I'll do it this Sunday and every Sunday going forward. I would not have wanted them to call me into an office, have me get dressed up, and have to take an hour out of my day to do that just to be the hymn book collector. So I picked a kid. I can't remember his name. But I picked a kid. I don't even know if I bring him up. We both know him, but I don't remember his name for the life of me. But I texted him. I was like, hey, bro, it's calling season. Will you be the designated hymn book picker-upper? And this This do you know where
Man.
this conversation is going? This
I don't. But I'm just listening, not to interrupt. I just listening, and I just like, I just look back and I just think some of this stuff is just insane.
oh, dude. Well,
Anyways.
I'm watching the text, and like you have to report back to like the bishop who says yes and who says no, and who's got other stuff going on. And so I'm watching, and like the three dots show up on my iPhone, and they stay there for a while. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's got something to say. And this dude, he gives me this long like ass chewing where he's like, I know that hymn book collector might not be the most glorious calling in the world, but I at least expected a phone call, an in-person meeting, so that you can give this to me in a way that's that I deserve, the respect that I deserve in accepting this calling. I hope in your next assignment you're not as arrogant and lazy in handing out assignments. And I was like, I don't even know what to say. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I thought I was doing you a favor of not coming into the church, getting all dressed up. Like, for me, if someone was going to text me and be like, hey, will you pick up hymn books on Sunday? And I'm watching TV, I can just respond during the commercial, yes, and it's all accepted. But this dude, he gave me this rant of just what a douchebag I was because I didn't call him and offer him the assignment in person. So
I probably know him. I don't know who you're talking about.
you definitely know
and
him,
I'm
but
sure
you,
he's a nice guy today, but back then, fuck you.
yeah, come on, bro, come on.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like, you gotta be kidding me. I didn't even want that the first time in the first place. Anyway, that's beside the point. But I'm glad that people liked me at school because he definitely did not. But no, I grew up in Star Valley, Wyoming. Great family. Played basketball growing up. Talking about like, me and Sam were talking off screen to where if you want like an idea of like the culture of where I came from, you should check out the TV show Yellowstone with Kevin Costner. Like it's not 100% accurate because obviously there's like murder involved and there's like all these conspiracies and whatever, but it's actually a pretty good representation of where I grew up, where a lot of the people that are uber wealthy where I'm from own a ton of land, just an ungodly amount of land. A lot of the people I grew up with are cowboys, are still cowboys. They grow, hay. They raise cattle. They do rodeo. Like their identity is a lot of it is based in that kind of lifestyle, and that lifestyle it at least what I've seen wasn't really well represented in 21st century media until Yellowstone. Like when Yellowstone came out, a lot of people watched that show where I'm from. A lot of people started wearing like their family brands. Like everybody has one, like a family brand, wearing it out in public, making shirts out of it, doing Christmas gifts with it. I mean, our family actually has a family brand, which I didn't even know about, but we have it. And when Yellowstone made the people from my hometown feel seen in that way, it just gave like a sort of pride of like, yeah, this is where I'm from. This is what you see. This is what my lifestyle looks like. And my lifestyle did not quite look like that. I wasn't a cowboy. I did some farming, but not to the level of like barrel racing or rodeo or like killing cattle. Like I never did anything like that. I wasn't brave enough to do anything like that. But yeah, that's where I grew up. That's where I was taught. And be proud, like where I'm from. That Wyoming's, I'm proud to be from Wyoming because there's only 500,000 of us. Now, I guess that I've left, there's 400,999 of us. There's only 500,000 people in the state. We only have 2 electoral votes. And they gave us 2 because they have to. Like, we don't even qualify for 1 because there's so little people. They gave us 2 because we have to. But, it's the first state that, that gave women the right to vote. We have 2 mascots for the state. One's a cowboy, which is the only university that we have, is University of Wyoming, and then we have the buffalo. And as a buffalo, as you get to know like what a buffalo is, like a buffalo is such an amazing animal. One of the things I love about a buffalo is that when a storm comes, a buffalo will actually turn toward the storm and run right into it. Because if you attack the storm straight on, you actually get through the storm quicker. Versus like other animals that will run from the storm and end up suffering longer. And
I like that. That's interesting.
yeah, it's cool, huh?
That's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's where I'm from. Star Valley, Wyoming. It's where my parents live. It's very boring. Like if you go there now, there's not a lot to do if you're someone that's our age. It's a great place to raise a family. Very safe. a lot of outdoor stuff, but like it's just a small town, you know. It's where I grew up from, and it's a great place.
Yeah, well, and there's a few stories that I remembered because I've been to Star Valley, I think, once or twice with you, for a couple different things back in the day of undergrad. But you know, small town, and I mean, just if I'm looking at all of like the Star Valley boys in my apartment complex, like I know there was like probably a lot of shenanigans.
Oh, bro.
Going around. Where kids are kids, right? Now, there's a story that I just remembered, and it doesn't relate to anything, but it's funny because I'm like, was this Tyler or was this someone Tyler was telling me about? But there was some dude, some guy, maybe it was you, that, or at least this is the story, where he was apparently like the hunk of the town or the village of the town, and he would just hook up with all of the ladies, and he like practiced making out with like a Skittle or an
Oh, yeah,
an
yeah,
M&M
yeah.
or
That wasn't me.
or something.
That wasn't me, but I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
So, anyways, you remember telling you?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember if you were telling me that story, but it was when we were driving back from that one time we went and we filmed the school.
Yes, yeah, my grandma.
Your grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I mean, we did. Like, in my hometown, there's more stuff to do now. Like, there's a movie theater, there's restaurants, there's a bowling alley, there's more stuff. But back then,
Well,
right?
and not to interrupt, but probably you can't do a lot of the things today that we probably did.
No, yeah.
When we were young, you know,
Ain't no way.
15 years ago, 20 years ago.
No, one of the things that we did is, I mean,
We're still young. But.
yeah. I mean, what's the statute of limitations? Some of this stuff. But okay, the makeout thing. The makeout thing, or the kissing thing. When we all turned 15, this wasn't me, but it was my buddy. My buddy, he was the last of us to kiss a girl, right? And he didn't want to, go in unpracticed, and so he would tape Skittles on his mirror, and so he could watch himself take the Skittle off. But he could also watch it and see how he's performing all this different stuff. And I don't know who told him to do that, but he did it. He denied it until we went to his house and we saw like the little the stuff on his mirror. It's like, bro, rumors are true. Rumors are true. But no, that wasn't it. We did that. We did a couple stuff. It's just small town stuff. There's back in the day before you could like pre-buy movie tickets like online, people would wait in line outside of the movie theater to get tickets and all these different things, and Twilight came out. Remember Twilight? And we were pissed because all of our girlfriends wanted to go see Twilight and didn't invite us. It was like a girls' night, and so they all stood in line to go watch this movie, and so we paintballed them. We drove past, unrolled the window, just sprayed, because they are all waiting outside the theater in a line.
Holy
We just pelted
shit.
them. We just pelted
You've
them, bro.
never told me
No,
this
just pelted them. We're
story.
like, this will teach you for ditching us for Twilight and Robert Pattinson and
These are all your girlfriends.
Yeah.
Your girlfriends.
yeah, all the girls that we were trying to get with, all the pretty girls went and saw Twilight, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah. But even, we won twice that night because one, we paintballed them, serves them right, and two, 15 years later, Robert Pattinson now belongs to the boys. No longer belongs to the girls; he belongs to the boys. We did stuff like we would play poker. We really liked poker, but we had no money, and so we would bet dares. Loser has to do something that we decide. Stuff would be like jump into a lake with your clothes off, or like putting on the scarecrow mask and going and knocking on the window of like one of our teachers, which we did until one of them chased us down. So we had to stop. We had to stop doing that. We did this thing where we used to steal pallets and steal.
Ignore all the rumblings. My water heater's going again.
That's okay.
If
We
you
got
can hear it.
We got the AI that can take that out. We would steal pallets and we would buy a propane tank from Maverick. We put it in the woods and we get one shot apiece and we'd shoot the thing, see which one of us could blow up the pallets. Right? I never won. One of my buddies was just a total deadeye. He would always go last because he would always get the bullet right between the pallets and blow up the whole thing, and then game over. But just the most small town story I think I've ever experienced in my small town was my buddy, we were playing basketball. We were playing against. We were traveling to Powell, which is a high school, maybe like 6 hours from Star Valley, and my buddy he was texting this girl. She was a year older, and he was like, oh, I really want her to go out with me. I really want to be her boyfriend, all these different things, and so we were cheering him on. We were hoping he could do it. And we played our basketball game, and that night we stayed the night in the hotel, and then we were getting ready to drive back. And he announces after our basketball game, he was like, boys, I got myself a girlfriend. We're like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, good job. It's the same one. He's like, yep. Older woman. He was a sophomore, and she was a junior. So at this point, he's a legend. We're like, oh, man, I can't believe you did that. That's amazing. But the story ends very poorly. For him, not for us. For him, it ends very poorly. So we were driving on the bus back home, and his phone goes off, and it's his dad. Small town rumors, they spread pretty quick. So his dad calls him, he picks up, and it looked like he'd seen a ghost. Like he's just talking, he goes all white, and he texts this girl, and they break up, and he's pretty distraught. And we're like, hey, I won't say his name, because if he's listening, he'll know exactly who he is. But like, hey, what happened? Like, are you okay? And he's like, no, me and this.
Do I know him?
No.
Okay.
No,
okay.
no. He went to a different school. But he was like, oh man, like me and my girlfriend, we had to break up. And we're like, why? Like, what happened? He's like, my dad made me. I'm like, well, screw your dad. Like, your dad, you're 16 years old. You have to do what he says. You can do whatever. And he's like, well, no, I have to do it. And I was like, why? And he's like, because she's my second cousin. We're like, oh no, bro. Oh, second cousin. But he had no idea, because it was such a small town. He had so many cousins that she never showed up at the family reunion or whatever. I guess
she didn't know either?
No one told her either. But I'm assuming they would have told her at some point. Obviously, if the rumor would have got back to her family too, their second cousins were dating. But it got to my buddy first, and so we watched him break up with her, and they really got to enjoy the aftermath. I'm a very big advocate for compassion, but 16-year-old kid who was dating his second cousin by accident, it was too good to pass up.
Okay, well, not that I'm trying to go down a rabbit hole here with that. But when you're in a small town in a small place, like, what's the limit of when
We can start dating cousins?
Yeah.
I don't know.
like, not that I'm entertaining that idea by any means.
No, but it does happen. It does happen. I don't know. I think the general rule in Star Valley is maybe like sixth cousins. I think it's okay. Which I don't even know how you get to like a sixth cousin. Like I don't know what it means to be like a third or fourth or fifth cousin.
What's a first cousin? What is that?
First cousin is like if my dad and your mom were brother and sister, you're my first cousin.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But how it gets to 7, I don't know how that works.
The second.
And that's like your cousin has a kid, and then that's your second cousin. I don't know how it works. But I think that's probably like the general. But when you live in a small town, like the gene pools are gonna mix at some point, because there's like some families in Star Valley, like the Ericksons or the Lancasters, that are like these legacy families. And by legacy, I mean they've been there since the dawn of time. And I'm sure that at some point, like the gene pools have mixed. But I would probably 6 or 7, I think. I don't know how you get to that point, but that's probably just the rule of mouth.
That's funny. That's a funny story. Okay, so I want to go back a little bit to this paintballing all of the girls, which is interesting because I've known you for a long time, but that story kind of like shocks me a little bit, especially for how I know you today and how supportive and protective you are over like women, especially with trafficking and just the well-being of people in general. But there's a soft side for young girls. But I guess that as a 16-year-old and it's your, whatever, like there's a little bit of just 16-year-old, roadshow.
Yeah.
Did any of them get hurt? Did any of them break up with anybody?
No, I kind of figured it. No, not that I can remember. They were pissed.
Did you hit them?
Yeah, we hit them. Oh, we hit them. And we came back a second time with water balloons. The ones that were unlucky enough to not be first in the theater got water ballooned too.
See, like if you try to do that today, paintballing outside of a window of a line of people, you are fucked.
Yep. That's like a misdemeanor, right?
It's probably more felony. I could be wrong, but I feel like in today's era, like that would be something like a felony because like if you hit in the wrong spot in the head, you could kill someone.
Yep.
Right? So they're right, who knows? However they define all the levels of
Stupidity.
aggravated assault or
okay.
assault but stupidity, sure.
Well,
right?
it was really stupid. I mean, that wasn't even the most stupid thing that we did. I mean, it was stupid, but I was a very different kid before I went to Rexburg. I wouldn't say I was an asshole, but I was really arrogant. I was really enjoyed me some Tyler. I was a really good athlete. I knew I was popular and I knew it.
Dude, athletes, I will say all of y'all were athletes.
Especially small town, bro. Like small town athletes are the worst. Like picture like you get the mindset you're going to the NBA without the talent to actually back that up in a small town where like that small amount of fame goes to your head. Like it was just a perfect
The amount of
mix
testosterone that was in the Star Valley corner at college.
And in testosterone, I'm a big believer that testosterone and masculinity, when pointed in the right direction, is actually a very beautiful thing. But when it's mishandled, it retains its destructive power. Because it's strong. Masculinity is strong, it's powerful, it protects, it's empowering. And when you put it in the wrong hands, a bad dude or a bad kid or a bad boy or whatever, it can still be destructive. So, yeah, I'm glad that the people in Rexburg, for the most part, were able to handle our testosterone really well because it was there. It was a little bit. But, my growing up, I probably just hit the perfect time of just I was arrogant, I was stupid, and YouTube had just come out. So we filmed everything. We tried to go viral. We wanted to make it viral. We wanted to be famous, and now we can sit like in a garage and talk on a podcast and put it on YouTube. But back then, you had to do something to, something worthy of uploading. So like we bought this Sasquatch outfit,
and like none of us actually really knew the potential of YouTube or the virality of YouTube.
And we were influenced a lot by YouTube and then Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah,
remember Jackass?
Yeah, for sure.
So like we bought this Sasquatch outfit. We were like walking through the woods, scaring like the tourists from Asia that were coming, wanting to see like a bear. And so we had my buddy in Sasquatch outfit, like flipping them off and stuff, and people just go crazy with that. Like, oh my gosh, this is Sasquatch. We bought a Borat suit on the same. You know Borat?
Oh yeah, Borat.
Yeah. So we had a Borat suit, like the one that's like a thong, like around your whole body. And Twilight 2, New Moon, same thing. No paintballs or water balloons this time, but sprinting in a Borat suit. That is a felony today, especially if you're over 18. That is like indecent exposure, especially from a minor, is illegal. But like probably even back then it was illegal. And then the peak of our stupidity was we set my buddy on fire. We wanted to see him as a fireball. It's a Jim Halpert moment. We wanted to see him as a fireball jump into a lake and come out unscathed. And he didn't. He didn't come out unscathed. We doused him in gasoline. We had one of those like little suction cups. Oh yeah, bro. We had this little suction cup arrow. We dumped it in gas. We dumped him in gas. Let the arrow on fire. Shot him. Hit him. Erupted into flames. He ran into the lake and he came out and he had second degree burns because you can't just jump into a lake on fire. So we did that. He's fine, by the way. He's fine. He's married, has a kid, lives in Cheyenne. He survived.
Holy shit!
But we were influenced by that. Like we wanted to go viral. We were bored. We wanted to do something exciting. And when you get 12 boys that are all equally stupid in a really small town and they can't drink and you can't do drugs, you do stupid stuff like this. It was like it makes for a good story now, but like if my kid ever did it, I'd fucking kill.
That is insane. That is insane.
Star Valley, Wyoming, man.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a whole nother side of Tyler that I'm even learning about, which is interesting because like, you still like to have a good time. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
right?
movie night with Sam.
But there's a side of you now that like the people who have met you now, especially in what you do in as an activist, like would never consider those things maybe, but I mean kids are kids, right? Like that's just, it's a wonder that humanity continues to prevail.
It's a miracle.
But okay, so now we'll go a little bit now to Rexburg and your. Well, tell me now a little bit before there what you do as an activist and what you define that, and be brief because we'll get into it a little bit later.
Yeah. So I founded an organization called Libertas International, which supports survivors of human trafficking in Latin America. And because of that work, we work a lot with women and children, boys, and some men who are victims of exploitation, victims of modern day slavery. Some of them are refugees, immigrants, like there's a whole lot of people that are thrown into that population. And that's what I do. That's my full-time job when I'm not podcasting with Sam.
Well, maybe we should have started with that instead of the paintball, the young women stories.
Redeemed it somehow.
Because as an example, like Independence Day, Will Smith and his wife, they introduce her as a mother at first, and then later they show that she's a stripper. If they would have showed her as a stripper first, her credibility as a mother would have totally gone down. So anyways, maybe we'll put that back in. No, it's fine.
If you made it with this far.
Tyler's a good dude, beyond good. So, and one of the things that I recognized with Tyler was back before Libertas, it was Gifts of Grace. And there was a food drive that I remember his whole apartment was full of people. It was hard to walk around. It was like stepping over people. And it was just like collecting food and gifts and offerings. And I can't even remember where it was going or what specifically it was for, but other than people in need. And it was like him running this whole thing. I'm sure you had helpers, but like you were spearheading this for sure. And I mean there was multiple cars. I remember I had a car and it was filled to the brim when we went and delivered it to wherever we were delivering it to, and I can't remember. But there was nobody else around doing this at all. And you go to, and our undergrad was BYU Idaho. This is full of like service-minded people, and there really was like not anything like this in that 18,000 student body of people. And then here you have Tyler organizing this thing, gathering all of these things and delivering these gifts of grace to these people in need. And it was super inspiring, and I was very fortunate to be able to like participate that in a very, very small way. And I was amazed at that, and I'm still amazed today at your level of generosity and your level of putting others first before like yourself. And I don't think that you don't take care of yourself. You absolutely take care of yourself. I think probably you, like all of us, could do a better job at putting yourself first. But I definitely think like you do put an effort to put yourself first. But there's also this awareness of others and needs. When did you notice like that spark, I guess, if it ever was a spark? Was it a spark? You asked me, what was the moment? What was the moment for you? Because I didn't really know that you wanted to go full activist In fact, I don't remember 100% what you were studying at BYU Idaho, but I felt like you were doing this thing, and then this was on the side, but then this became everything. So where did that all start? What was it?
Man, that's a good question. I think it probably started because, like I said, like in high school, I was pretty selfish. Like I was just a selfish kid. I was kind of, I don't want to say a bully, but I think it wasn't kind. Like if somebody wanted to go to lunch with like me and my buddies, we would hide from them and just leave them like out in the snow or whatever. I would never ask like anybody to like a dance. And like as an athlete, you have influence, like really make someone's burden a lot lighter. And I didn't. At best, I was a bystander. At worst, I made their life a lot harder. I really regret that. And it really just, it went against everything that I was actually seeing on movies. Like you talk about like seeing movies and being inspired by film and your mom kind of locking you in a theater for a whole afternoon. And I remember the first time I saw Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire and yeah. And when he's doing like the
Go
whole,
Web Go.
Yes. When he's I used to watch this scene with my grandma all the time where he saves Mary Jane from the Green Goblin. And that scene, I'm just like, why would he do that? Like, why would he just leave? Like, it's so brave, like what he just did. And so you consume media like that, you just go act like a total asshole, like you're Flash Thompson, you're the bully in high school. And just, in a small town, you get high on your own bullshit, you're kind of an asshole. And it was when I lived in the Dominican Republic is where it really changed, I think. As Mormons, like they send us out on missions where you live in a different place for 2 years or 18 months, depending on your situation. And they sent me to Dominican Republic. And I think, for the first time I actually read like the Bible. And I was like, man, this Jesus, he's either crazy or he's amazing. Like the stuff that he says is just crazy, crazy or amazing. And just how much he talked about, just how much he made people feel seen, like the woman at the well or the dad whose daughter was dying of epilepsy. I think is how the story goes. Just always looking to serve other people. And then being there, just seeing how the world really is. Like I had no idea like what the world was really like living in Star Valley, Wyoming. I thought I knew poor. I didn't know poor. So I was there. It all happened, I think, January 6th, 2010. January 6th is this day called Three Kings Day in the Dominican Republic and across Latin America, where it's essentially the day that Santa comes. And so I don't even know why we were preaching this day. I really don't, because nobody was paying attention. And so we were walking out and we get in this house and we go into this house. It's really poor. There's like this 7-year-old girl who's...
And for those that don't know, this is like a service mission for the church.
Yeah. So white shirt. Have you ever seen someone like white shirt and ties, the black patches? Those are the missionaries.
You've seen the movie Heretic recently.
There you go. Same one. Those are the missionaries. I heard that was good.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I want to see it.
Yeah.
But we go to this house, and there's this guy, and he's drunk off his ass. Drunk. There's this mom who's obviously in a panic to like get this dinner done. And there's this little girl, probably 6 or 7, and she's dressed a lot like Dobby the house elf from the Harry Potter series. Just a pillow sack over. And
I'm starting to remember.
You remember this story? Yeah, so this guy, he's drunk. He's watching baseball or something, and this little girl's just mopping up the floor trying to make it clean. And the mom says that lunch is ready. So the little girl wanders off into the kitchen. At this point, we're trying to teach this guy, but he's just so wasted that we're gathering our stuff and get ready to leave. And this girl comes in, and she trips and falls, and food everywhere. And that wakes the dad up from his drunken slumber, whatever he was in. And he reaches behind his couch, and he pulls out this whip. And he grabs the little 6-year-old girl by the head, drunk, and just slaps her across the face. And we're watching the whole thing. So, like, I'd never seen somebody get whipped before. This little girl whipped in the face, blood everywhere, starts to cry. Mom's freaking out. And so we acted, I don't know if we acted correctly or we just acted off of instinct. This definitely isn't like in the little handbook they gave us, but we tackled the guy. We took the guy down, and my companion, the other missionary that was with me, that we always go to, we call him our companion, but we're teammates essentially. He takes the whip.
There are no sexual relations.
No, there's no sexual relations between companions.
Well, you hope so.
Most of the time. But anyway, so it took the whip, and I held the guy down, and start like slamming him with scripture of like, you're gonna have a millstone about your neck, and you're gonna be thrown in the ocean, you POS. And he's just so drunk, he doesn't know what's happening, so he passes out. We get the whip. I don't remember what we did with the whip, but the girl is she's bleeding, and like the whole scene is still so vivid in my mind because there's these two missionaries, this little girl who's bleeding, the mom's freaking out, the guy's passed out, and then outside it's Christmas. Like it's something out of just this bizarro world. And so the mom, she's like, hey, like I don't want to intrude, but can you please like buy us some bread or something? That was the last food we have for the rest of the day, and we haven't eaten in like a day and a half. I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, let's go. So, and we, missionaries don't have a lot of money, but we had something. And so we went to this local store, and the store owner just had to have been like, what in the hell has just happened? Because woman walks in, she's crying, two missionaries walk in, and, only 20 years old. We're kind of shook of the whole scene. And this little girl comes in who has this big old gash across her forehead, and she's bleeding. And we, give her some chocolate milk and some bread, and this store owner, like, she did something, is still one of the most Christ-like things I've ever seen in my life, is that she noticed the situation, and she recognized what was happening. She recognized this little girl. Maybe she knew her from, like, her hometown or just the community as a whole. But outside, there was just chaos. All these kids playing with toys, but she was trying to close a gash in her forehead. And so she knew. So this lady, she takes, like, this knockoff Barbie doll from behind her little storefront, because like in the Dominican Republic they have these little convenience stores in people's houses. They're full of like rice and beans and Pepsi, but also there's like some knockoff toys. So she grabbed this Barbie doll, knockoff Barbie, probably worth $1, and she was like, do you want this? Give it to the little girl. And like the little girl, like just her tears stopped. She kept bleeding, but her tears stopped. She grabbed the thing, looked at it as if she had just won like $1 million, sprinted outside, left her milk, left her bread, opened it up, threw the box in the street, and they started to play. Just started to play with this little doll, and the other girls wanted to see her new Barbie because it's brand new. She literally took it out of the box in the street, and the other kids just started playing with her. And like,
I'm gonna pause you really quick. So Tyler, unbeknownst to himself, just described himself.
no, that's not true.
This is Tyler, the store owner who's observant and notices something that paid attention, little things, and then steps in to either answer a need or later comes back and, I remember you said this in a conversation, or, oh, I know that this was your favorite thing, like, I got this for you. Like, that's Tyler. Continue.
You're not. Well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. But like, just it didn't solve her problem. Like she still had to go home to that abusive dad. She still was really poor. Still hadn't eaten in a day and a half. But today, she was just a kid. Today, on the most Christmas of all Christmas days, she got to just be a kid just for one day. And for her, that was what she most needed. And I was so impacted like by that moment of just this person like stepping in and helping with like this doll, that like it made me feel a whole bunch of guilt for just all the times in my past that I'd let that slip by, and just it gave me a motivation to just continue to try to find ways to serve, try to find a population to serve. Like when it was in Rexburg, like it was the homeless shelters in Idaho Falls, and to know like how much food like those apartment complexes throw out every year, I was like, oh my gosh. And then the first time I went to like a homeless shelter and saw like a vet whose wife had passed away, and he was now living in a homeless shelter with his 2 kids on Christmas, I was just like, oh my gosh, like how do you like I don't have much, but like I'll give you something. Like I'm a poor college kid, but at least I'm not homeless. And just trying to just do what you can to like help ease their burdens. And honestly, when I met the first people that were victims of modern day slavery and trafficking, all that change, and I just want to do all I can to just the most basic of all human rights is the right to be free and the right to choose, and do all I could to intervene in that aspect. And it just continues. You meet people that have just gone through it. You just meet people that like the immigrants that are finding their way here. I think here in 2024, 2025, the immigrant population has been kind of demonized. But man, like you sit down with them, and just the horrors that they've fled, and just the things they had to sacrifice just to get to the U.S.-Mexico border, and how grateful they are just for clean water or a police force that's not trying to kill them, or they can talk to the police anonymously, and their rapist isn't going to know who reported them. Like that's something that people in other countries just don't have. I think I just really love the little guy. I love like the underdogs, and you bring it back to like cinema. Why I close this rant is one of my all-time heroes in cinema is Aragorn, son of Arathorn. I love that dude. I love him. I loved him in the past because he was a total badass, right? Like, who freaking looks down an army of Uruk-hai in that forest and he's like, I got these guys. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they just described him in such a way where it's like, anywhere Aragorn goes, people are like, thank God this guy is here, that he knows what he's doing. And obviously he's a great soldier, but what you realize about Aragorn, the more that you watch him, is how he identifies the underdog, the one who has no voice in every single situation that he's in, and he's always on their side, to use his influence as king of Gondor or a ranger to elevate their voice. A few examples. In the Council of Elrond, he's second after Gandalf to say, "You've got my sword. You've got it," and he is so protective of those hobbits throughout the whole time he's with them in the first movie. In the second movie, Éowyn, who is this amazing badass soldier, but a lot of people see her as just the niece of the king and just a woman. She needs to do her womanly duties. Aragorn sees her as a warrior. That's how he sees her. That's how he treats her. He gives her that respect, and I think that's why she falls in love with him, is because he sees her for how she wishes to be seen and what she really is. And then like the scene in Helm's Deep, where they're gearing up these little kids to fight this army that Saruman has sent. Everybody that was in that castle knew they were screwed, even Aragorn. And he's bickering with Legolas in Elvish, where Legolas is like, "Why are you giving these guys hope? Like, these guys are screwed. These guys will be lucky to last an hour." And in that situation, with arguably Aragorn's best friend, he recognizes that the Rohan army are the little guys, and he sticks up for them. He's like, "I'm going to die with them. I'm going to die right by their side." And I just love that. I love that he does that for people. I love that he does that all throughout the trilogy. And then like the coronation scene. I mean, who doesn't get emotional now watching that, where he's like in the midst of the greatest minds, the greatest warriors of Middle-earth, and these 4 hobbits, and he's like, "No, these 4 guys bow to nobody. We're all going to get bow for them." And he starts it, and these warriors, they've accomplished things that no one else has, that fought this great evil, bow to these hobbits because Aragorn led by example. And I just love that. I think there's people in this world, whether they be immigrants, whether they be victims of trafficking, whether they be women, whether they be whoever, like wherever people are hurting or people are undervalued or underserved or whatever, like there's people that have influence, that have means, that have the capacity to help ease their burden. And I always want to assist in that the best way that I can.
For sure. Well, and you do, and you're pretty modest about it, in that regard. And as you're describing that, I'm like, oh yeah, there goes Tyler describing himself again. I mean, if we turn the lights down low and gave you a pipe, what would you be right now? You'd be Aragorn in the prancing pony, just observing and watching and paying attention. Because that's
Actually, I totally missed that. That's exactly what he was doing. That's all.
That's what you do. Like, you are observant. You notice the things, and and you try to stay in the shadows. Like you're not trying to go look at me like, here's what I do and I'm the hero. Like you deflect that a lot, which is difficult to do when you're well liked and you have a lot of influence and you are capable of doing good, right? Doing good feels good. And people kind of lose their way in that sometimes. Not everybody. But I like that. I don't ever see being like a thing that will be a downfall for you. But we're all human, so don't. But I'll be here to be like,
Bring it back.
reel it back, brother. But anyway, so like Aragorn's a fantastic character description of that, and I think that is truly a great definition of Tyler, where you probably don't know this or don't see this because you're you and you're in an environment. But when I have been with you and I have visited families or I have visited survivors or different things, like the same way that those folks look at Aragorn, like these kids and mothers, they look the same look they give to you, which is cool.
That is cool.
And
I never noticed that detail. So
yeah.
I guess I'm not that observant.
Yeah, but and it's taking care of the hobbits, right? And I think that's like a trait that is not unique to all, but you have, which is cool. And which kind of leads me back to this other theme is Tyler loves superheroes. And I haven't thought about it as much until the last, I don't know, maybe year or so, but especially like leading up to this podcast, I started going, well, let me think about this for a second. Like superheroes is like a big thing for you. And there's a lot of times where I've just like, why does Tyler like superheroes so much? We all like superheroes. I like superheroes. And then there's superheroes that don't wear the superhero cape or have the traditional superhero look. And then there is, like, especially in the last decade, the superhero model that has been jammed through cinema, right? With the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the multiple attempts at the DC universe. But there's this draw to superheroes that I have recognized in you. And I've gone, there's something about justice that you really appreciate. And not justice for justice's sake, but justice for mercy's sake. In that there are a lot of unjust things in this world and a lot of terrible things happen. And you want the best thing to happen for everyone. And I've been going, well, what's Tyler's favorite superhero? Like in a traditional superhero sense, Superman, Batman, right? This kind of playing field. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Captain America.
He's one of them, yeah. I think if it's a tie, it'd probably be Batman. Well, no, because then you bring in like Daredevil, Punisher, but he's up there, yeah. In the MCU, Captain America is my favorite.
Yeah, I just don't like him.
Oh my gosh, Sam!
I just don't like Captain America, and I think we've had like this little back and forth, but I don't think I've ever like been like I just hate Captain America.
But he's not your favorite.
He's just not my favorite. I don't like him.
Who is your favorite?
Logan.
Ah, okay. But I'm talking like the MCU. Logan is a different beast altogether.
This
Star-Lord.
is about you. This is about you.
It's got to be Star-Lord, right?
I gotta think about that.
Okay.
Maybe Spider-Man, actually.
Oh yeah, classic.
I think probably Spider-Man. Yeah, it's definitely Spider-Man.
Okay.
But anyways, and there's I've just noticed a trend of like superheroes in your life and the stories that you like, and this justice and redemption side, which is a side that I think am drawn to. I've always really liked stories that are about justice and redemption, and I don't know if that's because I felt like the little guy sometimes, and I've wanted there to be like this justice, or I've seen injustices and I want there to be justice, or I just want there to be a safe space, right? And a superhero is a safe space. And I kind of want to track back a little bit, and I want to go, well, who's your real superhero in real life?
Oh man, that's a good question. Well, that's a great question. I think a lot of my heroes in real life, I think my dad and my mom are definitely one of them. Where, the older you get, the sacrifice to have children is such a big thing. Where, like, parents that go through the process of I'm gonna have this kid, the things you have to sacrifice, the vacations, the new whatever, the eating out, the Uber Eats, all these things you have to sacrifice if you want to have a kid. I know that my parents sacrificed a lot so that I could pursue my dreams, and so I'm very grateful to them. I think I see so many examples of heroism by the little guy day in and day out, to where, it's you're very kind for the kind words that you said, but if I were to make a movie based on my life, I wouldn't even be the main character. I'd be like a side character. Because I think I am able to witness acts of heroism much more than I'm actually in participating in. So some of these.
So who's the main character?
Just not me. Just pick a 15-year-old girl that is representative of all these brave survivors that I get to work with, and she can be the main character, and I can just be a side character. But last year in New York, I was at a trial, a sentencing hearing for a guy named Herbert Fletcher. He's in jail, so we could talk about him. And he abused 7 young girls, filmed it, and put it on Pornhub. So their rape was consumed by 3 million people. And they got up in court, in front of his family, in front of him, and in front of me and the judge, and told him what an asshole he was. Even now talking about that, I'm I can't even imagine doing something that brave. Someone that caused me so much anguish, and even still, with those videos out there, to facing him up front and being no, you suck. You can go to hell. I can't wait to hear this judge give you this many years in prison. That. I still think about that all the time, of just the bravery that took to do. I think of this little girl that I'm adopting. She had every reason to not be here, right? She was sexually abused as a kid. This American took advantage of her in the country that she's from, and she spoke up on behalf of the other girls that he was hurting, and because of that, she's now living in freedom, and he's in jail, and he can no longer hurt any more kids. I think of this family that's brand new to Utah. I don't mean to make this political, but you go back to the immigrant conversation of, I'll talk about this 14-year-old girl because she's readjusting to life here in Utah. I'm really close to her story. So she grows up in Colombia, and she's the daughter of someone who's part of my foundation. So someone who is a survivor of modern day slavery. She grows up there. That's where we meet, and the traffickers try to kill her mom. So she goes to try to come into the United States. They go to Tijuana. They wait in Tijuana for 8 months, and they call me when they get to Tijuana. The first time they were there, and I was at the gym, and they're like, "Hey, we had to flee Colombia. These people tried to kill us. Can you come and can you?" We need help. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I hop on a flight. I go down there, and we buy them blankets and shoes and all the stuff that you need to be a refugee while you wait for your asylum to kick in. And while I was there, like this little 13-year-old girl, she started to cry and she started to look at me and you could just see her like you're getting ready to say goodbye. So I thought, because I'm not very observant, that she was just really sad that we were saying goodbye. And she's like, "Hey, can we talk for a second?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up? Are you okay? You gotta say goodbye." And she's like, "Well, no. We walked here from Mexico City to Tijuana. And if any of you guys have traveled in Mexico before, Mexico City to Tijuana is like a 3-hour walk or a 3-hour flight, and they walked it, like walking from here to St. Louis or something like that. I think it's like a 3-hour flight.
Holy shit.
And her period came halfway through, her first one. And so she's just hitting puberty. She is walking, has her first period halfway between Mexico City and Tijuana. They're getting extorted the whole way, and she only has one pair of underwear. And so she was like, "I've had my period for 5 days. I haven't bathed. I have no underwear." She was like, "Before you go, can you please buy me some underwear and some tampons?" And for me, I bring up that story for one. That is the bravest thing I think that anyone's ever said to me, because the level of like vulnerability it took to tell me that. And I've known this girl for a long time. I've known this girl for 4 years now. I knew her when she was like 8 years old. But even still, like, I'm not her dad. I'm a guy that works for a nonprofit that her mom's a part of. And just to be like, the bravery it took to ask me before I left, because at this point we bought him food, shoes, all these different things, bought him a lot of stuff. Like, in her head, I'm sure like this is the most intimate thing that someone can ask. And he just bought us $500 worth of stuff. Who am I to ask for anything else? So she told me that, and I've never heard someone ask such an intimate ask. And so I told her, I was like, "No, I won't go with you, because that's like, you need to go buy that with your mom. Here's my card. You and your mom are going to go get you your tampons, your underwear, and me and your dad are going to stay here and eat some nachos." And she's like, "Okay, that sounds better." Like, yeah, I know it does. And so they left, went for like half hour, came back, and they got cleaned up. She had her underwear, she had her tampons. And she was all set. They wait 8 months. They come here to the United States, and she starts middle school. Middle school sucks. Like, middle school is the worst, and so
Awful.
terrible. Like, just awful. So, but this girl, she's one of those kids that's like really brainy, and has never gotten a B, always straight A's, but her being a student was taken away from her for a year where she was a refugee. And so she asked me, she finally got into middle school. She was like, "Can you come with me on that first day to make sure I understand everything?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can go together." So we went together. And the school district just I wasn't needed there. Like, she'd been taken care of. She had her backpack, her vouchers, all these different things, like make sure she had a good first day and a good rest of the semester. And when I picked her up, because that little girl, she's my hero for a lot of different reasons, is she had to grow up really fast. Like, she was a normal 12-year-old kid, and in a matter of just because someone tried to kill her mom, she had to grow up really fast. Became a refugee in a country that wasn't her own. Became really poor. Survived off people's charity. Like, no one wants to live like that. And when I picked her up from school, this girl did not shut up for a half hour. She talked about her teachers, her school, her friends, these boys she thought were cute, all these different things that she should have been talking about forever, because she should have been a normal kid. And she talked about how this is what her and her family have been searching for so long, is like this safety, this belonging, the place where you can just be a normal human being and make your own mistakes and not have someone trying to kill you because of it. And for her, like, what a brave thing it was. This is the rounded part of my story. Is one of the bravest things that I've ever witnessed in my life was their decision to leave where they came from and to find a better life somewhere else with their whole family, knowing they're going to start from zero, doing it the right way. Like, I don't think I could do that. If someone's like, "Well, you got to go to Austria, learn Austrian, and start from zero and build a better life." Do I want a better life? Yeah. Where I have the bravery to do it? I don't think so. I think I'd probably just stay where I'm at. And so her, like, I talked about her a lot, but because we're helping her get adjusted to this new life, she's my hero currently. And people like that, like these brave acts by these small people, Like they're my heroes, and I'm just happy to stand by them when I can.
Dang, dude.
Is that a good story?
That's a good story. That's a good story. I mean, that's Tyler. Tyler knows these people. He works with these people. He's familiar with these people. He goes out of his way to know these types of people, to find them, to help them. And I don't know how he does it. I think I'm a little. I mean, we're having this conversation. He's telling me this story, and some of the atrocities and things that happen. And I mean, it still hits me and affects me. But when I first started hearing these stories that you were telling me this, and this is now coming up on, I don't know, close to 10 years of this as your line of work. I mean, I'm still amazed, but even back then, I was just like, how is this even a reality in this world? And how do you help this? How do you put a stop to this? And there's a side of me that's like, oh, I want to help. And then there's a side of me that's, I don't know that I can handle this. And so, thank God, Tyler's here. Right? Because not everybody is like a buffalo running into the storm. But that's you. That's you, and I think that's who you've become. That's the things that is your natural inclination, and you're human. I'm sure there's times when you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or I don't know how much I can allow myself to be subject to these things. But I know immediately you're going, shut that down. Because my life experience is nothing compared to what's happening now to them. And so maybe that's no longer even a thing. Maybe you are just, and you probably are. You probably don't even think about it. You just go, there's someone in need. Here's an atrocity, and here's what I'm doing to help. And that side of you has only grown. And I've only really seen that side of you, Mike, our entire time knowing each other, from the gifts of grace and the donations to now like full on, activist and person for just trying to enable people to live, especially young kids, against trafficking and all of the atrocities that happen. But I mean, how do you I don't know, maybe this is too personal of a question, but like, how do you cope?
Well, I don't know if I do really great. That's the thing. I don't know if I cope as well as I should have. I think that's why like this podcast is so interesting, because, like we talk about, one of the ways I cope is movie nights with Sam. And that's fun. It's a place, it's a time for me to, like Civil War for me, like it was awful, but it was somebody else's awful. It wasn't mine, which is awesome. It's like, oh, that really sucks. I'm glad I'm not in a civil war in the United States. That would really suck. I'd much rather be where I'm at now. And so that's one of my escapes, is movie nights with Sam, and now the Locked Off Logic podcast. Subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. So that's a good outlet. But I think, definitely media is a way that I escape. You talk about like superhero movies as a place where I gain a lot of like inspiration. Not that I'm the superhero or anything, but like things happen in those movies that really relate to things that I feel and that go on inside my own head. Like, I'll give 3 examples, because these are the 3 that come up most often. The Dark Knight, Batman. Batman was this close to being, you know what, this sucks. Because Batman, he grew up in fame, he had the mob by the nuts, he was doing all these different things, and then in comes the Joker. And the Joker has no logic, he has no method, he just knows he's got to attack Batman personally and just cause whatever damage he has to where Batman starts to question himself of like, is the Joker something of my own creation? And he tells Alfred this of like, Alfred, what am I supposed to do? Like, I got Harvey Dent missing. Joker's running wild. Like, you either live long enough to see yourself become the villain or you die a hero. And Alfred's like, you need to endure. You need to endure like Master Wayne. Like he says something in that movie. It's endure like 3 or 4 times of like, the whole theme of that movie is the night is always darkest for the dawn. That dark can get really dark. And so Batman, and honestly, I don't think Batman endures it well because he ends up shutting himself out for 8 years before Bane comes along. So it's almost like a lesson of how to not go about that situation, because Batman's someone that's been wrestling with trauma for 30 years and he has no place to put it. There's a scene in X-Men Days of Future Past. It's one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. And it's, for those of you that haven't seen this movie, please check it out. It's one of the X-Men, it's like half and half. Half are good and half are total dog shit. This one is the good one, where young Professor X, James McAvoy, is having a conversation telepathically with his future self, Patrick Stewart, right? That's his name.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't know how you do this, man. Like, there's so many voices. It overwhelms me. I can't do this. And I feel that so often. I can't tell you how often I feel that.
You'd never know it.
Oh, dude, like, I mean, reality is that there's, you just talk about, like, human trafficking. Let's not even talk about refugees or immigrants or anything. Human trafficking victims that are kids, there's 2 million kids. And so, I mean, you can live a whole life saving as many kids you can. You haven't even made a dent.
Yeah, you can't save them
A
all.
dent. But you can save one. And that one, the one that came to the movie with us that one time that fell asleep and then took an Uber to go, like, her. Like, you know her. She's one of 2 million, but man, she's
such a sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's cool to see what she's doing now because she's able to be free. So bringing that back to like the Professor X conversation where he talks about, it's like, it's actually not their pain you're afraid of, it's your own. And like, that is so profound. That is such a profound statement because it's true. Like, it's not that, like, that was my first thought of, like, when I first started to speak with survivors. I didn't want anything to do with this. I was like, this seems a little too intense for me. But it was for me. It was my own pain that I was afraid of, not theirs. It was mine. And Professor X goes on to say, if you allow yourself to feel it, it will make you more powerful than you've ever imagined. And I don't know if I would use the word powerful in my own story, but it would make me happier and more fulfilled than I've ever imagined. Like, my relationship with those people, like, I know that when I'm dead, they'll miss me. And that's pretty cool. Like, that quote from Keanu Reeves. Like, that's such a profound, I love that quote.
What happens to us when we die? I don't know, but the people that know us will miss us.
Yep, that's it. That's that is so central to like that part of the story. And then the last movie I'll bring up, superhero movie, is Deadpool and Wolverine, where that Wolverine is beaten down, he's defeated, and he meets this X-23 who he's never met before. He's not that same Logan from Logan that we'll be talking about next week. He's just or 2 weeks from now, so we'll release 2 weeks from now. Stay tuned for a Logan episode. But like, she says something to him, and she's kind of giving him shit because he's trying to get out of this, and she was like, I got to grow up because of you. And I had this experience once with a girl who's really special. She's from Colombia. Actually, I'm gonna change the story a little bit. Another girl. There's a survivor that I know who I was part of her rescue. She was, at 9 years old, she was lured into this gang in Guatemala who sold her to different people for 3 years. We worked with local cops and we showed up to rescue her when she was 13 years old, and just awful. Like, she was dressed in nothing. She had like those big ass heels on, and she hated my guts. Man, she hated my guts because she had no idea why I was there, and it took me a long time to earn her trust. But I did. It took me a long time, but I ended up earning her trust, and I watched her grow up. She went from when she finally went back home after spending some time in an institution. She had fallen behind in school. The people at school called her a slut, called her a prostitute. And she asked me, she was like, well, I need to pay my overdue school fees or I can't move on to my freshman year, but I don't have $800 laying around. And so I just called somebody up that was like, it's one of my donors. And I was like, hey, can you spare $800 for this girl? And they were like, yeah, wire the money tonight. Money came in. I told the girl, okay, we'll take care of it. No worries. And you would have thought I told her that the second coming had started and she was going to heaven. Because she couldn't breathe. She was like, well, what do I owe you? It's like, nothing, take $100. Like, just go pay your school fees and let's good luck being a freshman, because being a freshman is really hard. And she did it. She graduated high school. She in her school, and this is one of the most meaningful messages I've ever got from somebody. This girl was rescued on April 6th, 2018, when she was 13 years old. She graduated high school about 6 years later. In her school, they do these rings, like the class rings. Did you guys do this at your high school?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and usually they get like the class of 09 or class of 2012 or whatever inscribed in it. And she, when I saw her in Guatemala like a year and a half ago when I was down there visiting, she had that ring on. I was like, oh, it's a cool ring. This is a cool like school ring. Congrats on graduating. She's studying social work now. And she's like, you want to see something? I want to show it to you in person. I was like, sure. And I hate surprises, so this caused like a whole bunch of anxiety. So she took it off, and the inside she had inscribed the date April 6, 2018, because the day she was rescued. For her, the accomplishment means more because she was rescued from slavery 6 years ago versus the actual day that she actually graduated. And she showed that to me, and I was just like, I didn't know what to say. I was just dumbfounded. I was like, I wanted to ask if I could have it, but you can't ask that question. So I was like, will you send me a picture of the inscription? So I took a picture and with her hand in it. It's one of my favorite pictures, but I didn't get to keep it. But bringing it back to my original point, there's a scene in Deadpool Wolverine where she tells Wolverine, I got to grow up because of you. And that just meant, like, after seeing Logan, like, that scene meant so much because Logan, it's been out for 7 years. He kills those people, saves these kids, and then he dies. He hoped that these kids make it to the border, but he has no idea. He has no idea if they actually make it or what becomes of them. And so that scene, I'll be a different Logan. For her telling him, I got to grow up because of you, it means a lot because, sometimes you feel like you're just getting kicked in the nuts. If it's even worth it, raising money really sucks. But 10 years from now, 7 years from now, 5 years from now, months from now, who's to know like what small acts you've done that have ended up allowing somebody to grow up 7 years ago.
Damn. Damn, there's bugs up in here. There's bugs up in here. No, man, like, and I know this is not why you do it for, but how rewarding. How rewarding is that? And how grounding is that to actually live a life that has real impact and it means something rather than an endless pursuit of money, of importance, of a career. And I'm not shaming those things, right? But I look at what I do, right, and I'll spend very little time on this because this is about you and not me, but I'm sharing this because I'm trying to express my relation to it. It was hard for me, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but it was hard for me to share what I loved doing and was passionate about like 7 years ago when I started hearing all of these things that you were doing. Because I was like, none of this shit even matters. Like my desire to be a filmmaker, to have, to live this lifestyle, like none of that shit even matters because there are these things that are happening in the world that I'm totally oblivious to, that I am unaware of, that needs help. And then here is an individual that's dedicating their life to it. So there was a side of me that felt like this shame of like just like a frivolous pursuit of what brings me joy, right? And as time has gone on, I've been able to separate that and remove that because I don't think that that's a healthy mindset. And I'll tie it back in that, like, if I can tell a story like Sweet Molly and a film like Sweet Molly and bring a voice to a girl like that who's a survivor in her own vein, that maybe one day, like, another girl sees, or another survivor, or someone that is stuck in a situation like that, and it empowers them and it gives them a voice, then it's like, oh, then that is meaningful for me, and that's what I want, right? But you live that, like, every day, you know, and that has to take its toll, and that's why I asked you, how do you cope, right? And this association with superheroes, and why I asked who's your superhero is because, like, you need something to look forward to. You need something to look to pull you out from such heaviness, I imagine, just from my own limited, experience. And there's a part of me, and I'm like, how do you say this and not feel like a sort of shame? But as a human being in just reality of my own world, like, it's easier for me to just go how I can help, if I can help, and I don't do it very often, but is donate money, right? Or time if I can. It's easier for me, and maybe to cope mentally, emotionally, to just go, how much do you need? Here you go. And I know it's going to get in a good spot and taken care of, right? But you bear the weight of all of that, right? You bear the weight of, one, getting to know why that's needed, two, ensuring, two, finding a way to get that need fulfilled, and then three, ensuring that it actually happens, and then further going on to, how do I stop this from happening again to this same individual? And that's just one. That's just one. And there's millions, So I have the utmost respect, like, for you and, like, what you do, because not everyone can do it. I know I certainly couldn't do it. I'd like to think that I could. I think it would, I wouldn't do it as well as you.
I think that's debatable. I think, I'm glad you brought up Sweet Molly, because I think that, like, first off, like, Sam is a monthly donor to my foundation, which is in the show notes. You can check it out, libertasinternational.org. He's a monthly donor.
And I share that, not to bring it on me, so don't.
No, but I'm
spend
gonna,
little don't spend a lot of time.
Okay, I won't. But it's the power of storytelling. Like, you talk about Sweet Molly and how it gives a voice to someone's experience, or even like me. I'll never be like a ranger from the north. Like, I don't know how to freaking skin an orc like 7 different ways. But I notice how Aragorn treats a little guy. There's a shirt that I'm wearing. It's The Last of Us. It's one of my favorite shows, one of my favorite video games.
It's amazing.
Yes, thank you. I'll never forget the crisis call that I got one day from a girl that watched The Last of Us in its entirety and called me in a panic. It was like at midnight one night, and she had just finished, and she called me because the story was told in such an impactful way. I mean, we're not living in a post-apocalyptic society yet, but this girl watched this movie, and she could not figure out why this old man was defending this little girl in the hospital so vehemently. Why was he killing all those people? Why did he just walk away and take his money or take the reward or whatever? Why is he fighting so hard to get her back? And so she called me, and she was like, I'm having an emotional crisis. And I was like, well, let's talk through it. Like, what are you feeling? She was like, well, I feel like The Last of Us is a representation of my story, where I was this little girl that nobody wanted, and then I got put on these people, and I feel like a burden. I got put with this nonprofit that helps survivors. I was like a little burden, and then I was in danger. Like this guy David was trying to do stuff to me, and they're the ones that removed him from me, and she's like this choice where it's like you either, and we'll talk about The Last of Us in more detail and like the moral decisions that come with that, but just in the world of this little girl, she was like, they told him that he could save the world or save her, and he chose her. She was like, why would he do that? And it was a chance for me to be like, that's what people do that care about each other. Like, I would do that for you. Anyone on our team would do that for you because you matter. Like the rest of the world, like in the story of The Last of Us, the world can't be trusted. You got the Fireflies, which are a bunch of terrorists, debatably. Fedra, who is a bunch of Nazis. You got David and his crew, which is a bunch of cannibalistic pedophiles. And then there's Ellie. And of all those groups, I'm going to choose Ellie. They represent humanity, and there's Ellie. I'm choosing Ellie. And she was like, for her, it gave a representation in a TV show of what she had felt for the last 5 years of her life, from being an outcast, from being a survivor of abuse, from being a burden to these people, to being someone that people sacrifice time and money to actually go save. And that doesn't happen unless that story is told in such a way that's so beautifully done, you're able to get through it, that's so beautifully shot and so beautifully acted, that it gave this one person, one of those 2 million, it gave her a voice to be like, that is a version of my story. I feel seen, I feel heard, and I'm glad that when I was in that hospital, people like Joel came for me. How's that for?
More bugs in here, bro. Well, and it's like earlier you said, I'm not the main character. I wouldn't be the main character in my story. I'd be the secondary character. And it's like, again, here's Tyler describing himself, unbeknownst to himself, that every single time I've asked Tyler about him, he's told a story of someone else and how brave they are, how incredible they are, what they've done. Damn, I wasn't expecting this. Tyler's a selfless human being, and he has a good heart, and he deserves like every good thing in this world. And like I have been super fortunate to be friends with him, especially because like I deal with things probably very different than Tyler does. But I have these ebbs and flows of when I'm social and when I'm secluded, or like I turn inward. And when I turn inward, it's like the rest of the world just kind of goes to silence, and I spend so much time thinking about me. And Tyler will come out of the woodworks, and then he's relentless in an effort to connect, which I appreciate. And it's Tyler. It's just who he is. It's his nature to just pay attention and be observant and to be looking out for other people. And so, I mean, that I'm like, I don't know what else to say other than like Tyler is just one of the best people like on the planet. And the work that he does, who he's become, is a noble pursuit. And I'm very excited to see where he goes from here and what he continues to do. I mean, he's been doing all sorts of charity work and things for multiple organizations, and he's had his own for a while, but this last year he's just gone full time. Now I'm gonna
Libertas. Yeah.
Libertas International, full time Libertas International, and building his thing. And I don't donate very much time or money to anything these days. But if I do donate what I do, which is very little, like it has gone to Libertas. Why is it so hard for me right now?
It's Latin. It's Latin.
I've never had a problem. It's just I'm shaken emotionally. Anyways, and I know that money goes to help real people in real scenarios, in real situations. And I mean, this podcast is not to like promote that, but I'm here to promote that. If you can, there's a million things that draw our time and attention, and we can't donate time or money every single day to every cause that needs it. But if you find yourself in a position, whoever is listening or watching, if you find yourself in a position that today you can donate something, whether it's a penny or $1 or $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, if you find that is you today, it will go to a good place and it will do real good to real people if you donated to his nonprofit organization.
Yeah. It definitely will go to a good place. I haven't even told you about this yet, but in 2 weeks, we have a survivor coming in who's looking at making Utah a permanent home. We're doing a Libertas dinner. It's the usual crew. We're going to invite some survivors, so you need to come. It's the 14th of January, yes?
I need to look at my calendar.
Okay.
I think I have something on the 14th.
Okay, well, that day is flexible because she's here from the 14th to the 18th.
Sure.
But she's awesome. She's 14. Come with her mom. It's going to be awesome. No, I'll go back to like my little hero that's here in Salt Lake now to where like, let's say Sam gives $50 a month, for example. That money so this girl, she comes from Tijuana to Utah. That is a change in the climate, right? From very humid to very dry. And as a middle school girl, her skin was being affected. And that was an emergency that I was not foreseeing, but it definitely was an emergency. So she was like, can you pick me up? I need to go get some skincare. I picked her up, and we sat in Target. I was like her bag boy. I just stood there with this a Target bag. You know what I'm saying? Like the basket.
Yeah.
Well, she got the skincare she needed. It will take away her zits that she has from the change in climate, then got some makeup. And it cost around $50. And for her, that transition from a girl in panic because she's now in middle school, she's got to make friends, she's got to be popular, she can't have any kind of flaws whatsoever. $50 later, now she had the stuff that she needs to take care of her zits and all these different things. It didn't save them all, but man, it just made her burden a whole lot easier. Because that was and of all the crises that I've had to deal with in December, that was a big one. And I didn't realize it was that big a deal for a middle school girl, but it was, and it is. And a $50 donation is what fixed that crisis and gave her peace of mind. Those zits are not coming back tomorrow.
And I think if everyone would just look at their day-to-day struggles or their day-to-day needs, and they would go, when was a time when someone did like a little gesture that made the world of a difference that they would consider, the person who did that would consider nothing, right? But it was everything. That could be $50. That could be $5. That could be $500. And one thing that I've really liked with Tyler and his organization is when there's been times when I've been in a position to go, okay, I want to do good, and I want to feel better about myself, right? Which is a selfish thing, and I can try and offer some sort of donation to Tyler. I'll say, hey, is there anyone that has needs? And he has names, he has faces, they're all protected. It's not like he's sharing faces of these individuals, but there's a person to the story, and there is a need to the person, and there is a specific way to help that, and he lists half a dozen or a dozen. He's like, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and then I choose one or two, and I go, great. I know that this person is having this need met, and I just trust and believe that it's going to go there, and then I know that it does because I have had interactions with those people that have wanted to say thank you, and Tyler's like, hey, they wanted to say thanks for this, right? And it's like, this is a real organization doing real good, and in a world where everyone, it feels as conning everyone, this is not one of them. And if it ever becomes that, I will find you. Liam Neeson style.
Frank Castle style.
But, and I say that jokingly because I just know that it won't. And I don't think Tyler would even allow himself to get to that point, especially with the people he surrounds himself with. So I think for me in my world, Tyler's one of my superheroes. And he's a really good dude, and I'm super fortunate to spend time with him and shoot the shit and just talk about things that we like about. And a lot of times we don't talk about this stuff because I don't necessarily think we need to, right? But when we do, we do.
Yeah, there's some times where I need to voice something just to get off my chest. But a lot of times, I mean, when me and Sam see each other maybe once a week now, and most of the time it's talking about this. It's talking about Civil War. It's talking about Gladiator. It's talking about Arcane. It's talking about The Boys. Me trying to convince you to watch The Boys.
I need to watch it. I know.
The Boys, bro. The Boys.
I just gotta.
That is a show. That is a superhero. You want to talk about what superheroes actually look like in the modern day? Watch The Boys. Like, we wish we lived in a world where if, like, Superman was Superman, that he would be Superman. No. If Superman was Superman, in today's world, he would be Homelander, and that is really scary for all of us. But that's beside the point. But that's why, and that's why we start this podcast, too, is just, I think we both love story. We both love how stories are told. We both love stories inside the theater, outside the theater, and sometimes, like, life gets hard, like, not just like with human trafficking and refugees and stuff, but like finances and politics. And sometimes you just need a little break and come listen to two dudes talk about Arcane.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. This is, like Sam said, like in the beginning, this is a safe podcast. It's going to be a very genuine podcast. And your conversations are welcome here. Like, we have the YouTube channel, we have Spotify, we have Patreon. Please make your voices heard. Because this is a safe spot, and we're here to talk about it, the things that bring us together as human beings, which I think is inspiring stories. Learn from them, and debrief them, and come at them with different perspectives, and just enjoy this art that brings so much joy for, I think, both of us, and I imagine most of the people that are listening to this show. Because I don't know why people listen to this show if they're not into, like, the stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. Well, and I'll go back really quick. I mean, how long have we been gone? It's like, I don't.
At least an hour and a half, right? You got balance too, though, right?
No. Fortunately, I don't.
It got canceled.
Well, it got changed. Now it's. I have more time. Basically.
Okay.
I still have a thing, but I don't have to travel anymore. Anyways, I'll go back to kind of try and wrap things up. You talked about that moment with X-23, and she said, I got to grow up because of you. And that didn't mean, like, if you saw that movie and you hadn't seen Logan, you wouldn't know what that meant. It wouldn't carry the same weight. You might hear it and go, oh, he's the reason she grew up, right? Some other version of him in the universe is the reason why she grew up. But you don't really get to experience the full weight of that unless you knew what came before. And that is why cinema is cinema. And as a cinematographer, motion pictures, right? Cinema is motion pictures. Motion pictures is moving pictures. And cinema is a collection of still images. And so when we shoot, typically it's 24 frames per second. which makes 1 second, but that's 24 still images. And a photograph, you hear say, a photograph can say 1,000 words, right? Just a single photograph. And you can get meaning from that one still. Cinema, motion pictures, the image that you see at any given moment came from a previous image and is moving to another image, and it depends on both for it to find meaning and to give it meaning. Because if you didn't have what came before, it wouldn't mean as much, and you wouldn't have a direction you needed to go. And so that's why I love storytelling and I love cinema, because it helps bring meaning to things in my life. Like when I experience things in my day-to-day actions, and then I see or experience a character doing something in cinema, that means something because of what came before it for me, and then it will now inform what I'm going to do next. And so that's why I just love this shit, and I love storytelling and podcasts, and that's really how this came to be. It because of interactions I've had with Tyler and Tyler's desire to just continue to do good and have just like real conversations about things that bring us joy and things. And so I guess to wrap it up, what's next? Like, we've heard where you've come from. We've heard a little bit about what's present, what's in front of us right now. What's next?
Yeah, well, up next is, first off, the Locked Off Logic podcast. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Patreon, all that different stuff. I'm really excited about this. I wanted this forever. Before I answer that question, I just want to make one comment. It's interesting, too, because like when Sam and I have these discussions, I feel like we learn more about each other through like the cinema that affects us, too. Where I remember I went and saw Logan alone, and we'll talk about this next week, like in greater detail of what that was like. But I went and saw it again with Sam, and I remember I told Sam, I can't tell you how many little girls across the world that I've met that act exactly like X-23. And if you guys have seen Logan, like she's pissed off and silent most of that movie. And the conversation that you and I had afterwards, like, well, tell me more. And it opened up a conversation of like what a survivor of human trafficking actually looks like. Because essentially, you bring back the layers. X-23 is a victim of exploitation. And so I feel like because I told Sam that, and my perspective is different than his, he learned more about like not just that character, but me as well, like the work that I did.
Yeah.
Fast forward 7 years, me and Sam, the day that Locked Off Logic was born, we were talking about Arcane that we'll be doing in a couple weeks, and he kept talking to me about this character named Jinx. And so and he's like, Jinx, 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 Jinx. I'm going to get Jinx tattooed on me and all these different things. And I was like, well, okay. So I watched it, and I saw Jinx. Obviously, the first couple episodes, it's a very different Jinx, but I feel like I was watching it because obviously Jinx had very much impacted my friend. And I feel like I was paying closer attention to something I hadn't seen before because I wanted to figure out why did this character impact Sam so much. And so I was like hyper vigilant every time Jinx was on the screen of being like, just analyzing her character. And we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. And so it's like this stuff is helpful. It's helpful for me to understand Sam better as a human being and to understand the media that we're both consuming. As far as like what's next, the Locked Off Logic podcast, obviously subscribe and do all those different things. I think Libertas continues to grow. I think as Libertas continues to grow, I want to step back a little bit and let more qualified people run what exactly it's doing. It's just as your perspective, as you gain perspective in the world, you just open up to a lot of different needs that you want to have an impact on. And one of that is immigrants, especially like immigrants that come from like my foundation, people that start new lives here in the United States. The United States is just a special place. It has its problems. But as far as like a place where for the most part you're safe from political persecution, from gang violence, from repercussions of reporting a crime, for the most part you're safe. It's a special place that a lot of people want and need to take part of to survive, and I want to help them make that transition. And then there's a very large population, for those of you that have followed the news over the last decade, Venezuela. Venezuela is run by a socialist dictator who has essentially bled that country dry. There's no food, there's no water. 25% of the population is left. A lot of the girls in my foundation at Libertas are from Venezuela, and I'm encountering a lot of Venezuelan women and children that are exploited all across the world, especially like here in the United States. I want to do more to help them. I don't know what that looks like yet. We're still trying to figure that out. And then in Wyoming, where I'm from. Wyoming is a great place. It's a safe place, but it's not devoid of its problems. There are victims of sexual abuse in Wyoming. There are predators living in Wyoming. And I've spent 15 years traveling the world from Colombia to Ukraine to South Africa, trying to make the world a better place. And I don't want to forget where I came from. And I know that there's people in Wyoming that have suffered the same kind of abuse, and I want to do my part to invest in them as well. Again, don't know what it looks like. Don't know what it's called. Maybe it's a thing for next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But that is my long-term goal. While we do the Locked Off Logic podcast and continue to consume and meet people that have stories worth telling.
Well, there you have Tyler in true Tyler form. Like, what's next, Tyler? All of these things for other people.
I guess I can. And then get the PS6 when it comes out. That's what I'll do for it. Get the PS6. People sometimes ask me, like, because like this podcast is very sweet, and you said some very nice things, but my life is actually not that interesting. I wake up, I go to the gym, I come home, I meditate, I read, I eat lunch, I work, answer emails, or go out and hit the streets until about 5, go home, and I watch football until I fall asleep on the couch. Very, very uneventful life.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about football.
I know.
Sports.
That's another conversation.
Okay, there's two more things I want to briefly go over. Like Tyler talked about reading books. He's a reader, and there's two things that I wanted to talk about that I just didn't until just now. But one, there was a quote that I remember. I'm sure you're going to remember. I hope you do better than me. But essentially, it was like the most wasted resource is good intentions.
Yeah. The most wasted resource on earth is human intention.
Yeah. Which has always stuck with me from that conversation we've had, and a lot of times I've gone, man, like, what a wasted resource that I have had a lot of human intentions on that I've done nothing about. But anyways, I've always thought about that. And then another one is the power of a pencil.
Yes, that's a good book. Yeah. You want to know crazy stories? I met the guy on an airplane.
Yes.
I met that author on an airplane. And it was awesome.
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
So really quick, I know. Thanks you guys for hanging in there.
This is good stuff.
Actually, we wanted to do this for us. So
yeah.
Just tell this.
If you stuck with us this far.
Just tell this brief story, really quick. Power of pencil, and this interaction with this guy on the plane, and then we'll be done.
Yeah.
We'll be done on this episode.
No, this I think this is the story you're I met the author on the plane. The author of the book. I had this book that influenced me growing up. When I was in college, I was trying to make money for college and trying to figure out like my own desire to do good. I found this book called The Promise of a Pencil, written by Adam Braun. He's the founder of Pencils of Promise, a nonprofit that's really good. And he talked about he's just a traveler. That's just what he wanted to do, is explore the world. Well, that's never something that I ever had like a desire to do from a small age, but it's something that I ended up falling into. And so we ended up backpacking through Guatemala and Laos and Ghana and all these different places. And he just saw how two things that he saw is, one, just how desperately the developing world wanted education, that they don't have access to education, the power of education to change someone's life, and then how often he got promised help, but the help never came, the human intention. Everybody wants to do good, everybody wants to change the world, and then the sun comes up, and then people just forget about it. And Adam didn't. Adam kept with it, and he wrote this book, The Promise of a Pencil, which is a really good book. We'll add it in the show notes. Probably still my favorite book of all time. Just it's really funny. He's got a very funny personality. He describes my experience a lot, like in being in like corporate settings where he would show up in flip flops and bracelets, and obviously you're underdressed. You probably the flip flops were maybe a little much, but the bracelets, I wear bracelets all the time. That people are giving me, and some people give me shit for it. I'm just like, dude, this bracelet's good to me, but you go off like a 10-minute story, and then by the end everybody's crying. You're like, okay, keep your bracelet on. But I was flying to New York City for that trial that I mentioned earlier, and this guy's from New York City, him and his family, and I was standing there getting ready on a plane, and he was there, and I recognized him right away because he had the shirt "Pencils of Promise," and I was like, I gotta talk to this guy, but I got nervous. So I stood right behind. I waited because I got upgraded to first class, and he didn't because he had his kids, and I was like, so they called first class, and I waited. And I was like, let him go. So I waited, watched him. It was really creepy. Waited until his group was called. And then I went and stood behind him and his kids. And I was like, I just want to say something. But you don't want to be a weirdo because he's got his wife and his kids there. And his kids were, and they weren't misbehaving, but they were two twins, 6 years old, getting on an airplane. They were a little rowdy. And so I was like, I'm going to let him sit down, and I'm going to give him my card and be like, hey, I just want to let you know your book changed my life. Here's what it spawned. Because it did. And so...
Which is Libertas.
Yeah, Libertas International was spawned. Back then, Gifts of Grace, just a way to make an impact in a way that was tangible. And he's the one that taught me how to do that. So he sat down. I was like, got my strength up. And I was like, hey, sir, Adam. I just called my name, Adam. He was like... And I was like, here's my card. I just want to let you know your book changed my life. I've read it. I read it every year. Here's what your book created, and I walked off. And I sat down. And I was going to find him again after the plane, but JFK gets a little crazy. And then I'm sitting there on my phone, and I get a LinkedIn notification that Adam Braun has just viewed my profile. He reached out, and he was like, hey, just looking at your profile, this made my day. Never thought that my book would have this kind of impact. Thank you so much for reading. And we haven't spoken since. Because he's doing other things now. He's given up like Pencils of Promise. He's doing work on the climate. He's doing all these cool things. But it was just that book gave me like the dreams and the story that he would be awesome to have on the podcast.
I was just thinking, I was like, I'm going to put it out there.
I'll reach out.
I'm going to put it out there. We're going to have him on the podcast.
Okay. I'll email him. Be like, hey, bro, remember me from the airplane? But he just, that book, when I had no experience.
It's
gonna happen. I had no experience. I had no knowledge. I had no nonprofit. I just had a dream of doing some good. And his story is what got me to the next day of like, okay, this is possible because Adam did it, and hopefully one day I can do it too. And so that book is it's really special. I'm happy I got to rub shoulders with Adam. And if he's on the podcast, talk about story.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read his book.
Oh, dude, you should. It's good.
I'm good because I'm finishing the book I'm reading right now. I'm in the last 40 pages. Okay. So maybe that will be my next one.
Yeah, read it. It's good. It's worth it.
Cool. Well, I mean that wraps up Tyler, and I mean as much as we could, like honestly we could do a lot more just continuing. But thank you for listening. Thanks for sticking around. If you pause to take a break to pee, because I need to. Same. Thanks for coming back, and we're excited for the next couple of weeks as we continue to just roll out this podcast and really work out the kinks. Right, we're still in a garage. We got a new table from last time, and
this table working okay too.
Yeah, I think so. We're doing new mics, so.
Drinks.
We're testing things out. We're really trying to figure out a good system for this, but I don't want perfection to get in the way of actually just getting it done. Yeah. So this is why we're here, and it's actually been a fun kind of venue to do it. It's a little chilly. It's cold. It's winter, so the garage gets a little cold. But anyways, Locked Off Logic podcast. I'm co-host Sam, and grateful for my co-host Tyler and his story. And we're gonna probably get into a lot more shit down the road. So, anyways, Tyler, thanks for opening up, sharing a little bit about your story, and I like I said, I hope I hope every good thing comes your way because it's well deserved.
I have, before we go, I want to ask this, and we're just, as I said, we're working out the kinks, and I think this would be a fun end of episode tradition with any outside guest we bring in.
Okay.
Who, if a movie was made about Sam Sargent, who would play you?
Jack Black.
Jack Black? Really?
I think so.
Okay, Jack Black. What do you know what your movie's called, or is that something you have to think about in the future?
I probably have to think about it
Okay.
in the future. But I think I say Jack Black because I think Jack Black is who I am inside, but I'm afraid to let out.
Got it. Okay.
And Jack Black isn't.
Yep, I agree.
And so
He's Bowser.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's fine.
But
It's what you'd expect.
But anyway, so I'm always just like, man, like if I imagine myself as an actor, like I'm like Jack Black. I love that dude. And anyways, I think he would be the person to play me because I think he would then be able to release the performance I wish
Yeah.
that I've prevented myself from.
Okay.
And maybe one day that'll all come out.
Yeah.
When I'm very comfortable,
Yeah.
it comes out.
Okay. Well, the Fat Cats. Fat Cats have come out. We still on the table of Fat Cats. It definitely has come out. I've seen it.
You'll never let me live that down.
No, that's our password. Our favorite things. Okay, Jack Black. I think for me, it would be. I put this in the Chat GPT the other day. I'm like, well, who would play me in a movie? The one that I've always wanted to play me is an actor, kind of a little known actor called Matt Terriot. You know who that is?
No.
He played Clay on SEAL Team, and then he's currently starring in a show called Fire Country on CBS. And I really like this character in SEAL Team. I think he portray and we're similar sizes. Like he's I think 6'1", I'm 6'2", so I think him or the guy from the Hunger Games Part 2. And he's been in other things, but that's where I first saw him. The blonde guy. He's been in. He was in that show, the boxing show. I think he was in Vikings for a little bit. No, it's not him. I don't know who it is. We'll find it later. But so Max Theriot it is because I can't find the guy. That's why to play me.
Right on.
All right. Well, we will see you next time. Locked Off Logic podcast. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you can find your podcasts. Leave us a comment. That stuff really does help the algorithm. And be on our watch for our Patreon for our exclusive content. And we will see you in a couple weeks when we review my favorite movie, Logan,
and then Arcane. We'll also include in the show notes links where you can donate to Libertas.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Peace out.
Peace out. Be sure to tell someone that you love them.
Yeah.
Stole that from Tim the Tap Man. Shout out. Go follow, subscribe him. He's great.